Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to break down all the latest teasers and all the latest information regarding the Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 2. I'm definitely very excited for the show. I do think the trailer is going to be out probably, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, does this trailer come out at Comic-Con? Like, that's 2 months away from now, so they could release it then, but they did say summer release, so maybe we'll get it sooner. So before going further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Now, what I do actually want to get into is what we did learn about the Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, and that is that the first episode's actually going to be premiering at, I believe the way it's pronounced is the Tribeca Festival. I believe I'm saying that right anyways. I'm always so worried about how I pronounce words and stuff because usually I'll say certain things and I get a lot of people saying, no, it's this, it's that. So yeah, hopefully I said that right. But yeah, the Walking Dead Daryl Dixon episode 1 or season 2 episode 1 will be premiering here, and that is going to be happening next month. So this exact quote right here from Variety, first of all, I'll leave a link down below to the article. Definitely go check out the article. It says, returning series getting first looks at Tribeca include season 2 of AMC's The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol, which follows Daryl Dixon, Norman Reedus, in a post-apocalyptic France and Carol Pelletier's, Melissa McBride's journey to find him. And then it says, but then it goes into a different show. So that right there was basically just a confirmation that the first episode will be shown next month. And I was looking at when this festival is going to be taking place, and it looks like it's going to be in the first half of June. So in about a month from now, a little over a month from now, we're probably going to get a lot of, the early reviews, the first reactions to the first episode. Now, it's not the same as, The Ones Who Live, where a lot of the early reviews came out for the first couple of episodes, like 3 weeks or like a week before. I think it was 2 weeks before actually the premiere aired, right? Like, it's not going to be anything like that. This is not a tease that The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon is going to be airing at some point in late June. Just because we haven't gotten the official trailer yet, we don't know what the storyline is going to be for season 2 yet. There's a lot of things, right? There's a lot of stuff in terms of promotion that we haven't seen yet. And first of all, there's no artwork, right? Like official artwork out. Usually they have official artwork out like months beforehand, right? Like with The Ones Who Live, they had a lot of that stuff out. They had posters and a bunch of stuff out like a couple of months beforehand. And, there was all that build to the trailer that came out eventually about a month and a half before the show came out. So this show is coming out in summer. So at the latest, maybe it's late August. That would mean a month and a half beforehand would be like early July, which at that point, early July, maybe they release it at Comic-Con, right? If the show is, again, coming out at the end of August. I mean, maybe the show comes out, early August. And then if that's the case, the trailer is probably going to come out at the end of June. And then there'll be promotion stuff at some point this month. Like, that's basically sort of what I've been expecting. I kind of figured that they would take the month of April off because The Ones Who Live was over, just let things settle down, let people kind of, I guess come down from the craziness of The Ones Who Live, right? And then, just take a whole month off and then start to ramp things up again for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 2, a show I'm very, very excited about because of the variant walkers, and I'm excited to see how much more insane they're going to get, and it looks really incredible, so I'm very excited for that. But let's get into the actual synopsis here. This was sort of almost a first official synopsis for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 2. And this again comes from Variety. It's the same article. But yeah, The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol, AMC/AMC Plus, Season 2 world premiere. The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol picks up where Season 1 of the series left off. Following fan favorite characters Daryl Dixon and Carol Pelletier, they both confront old demons while she fights to find her friend and the struggles with his decision to stay in France, causing tension at the nest. The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, and it kind of goes into everyone who's going to be in the show. So very interesting synopsis here, I will say, because that is, I feel like that really does tell me a lot of when they're actually going to reunite. I do think it's going to happen all in episode 1. I think at the very end of episode 1, it's going to end with Daryl and Carol seeing each other. It's going to be very similar to Rick and Michonne seeing each other, I do think. And then episode 2, we're going to see Carol being like, all right, let's go back home. And then Daryl's like, no, I can't. And then I think Carol's going to be like, well, why can't you go back? Like, that's kind of insane. Like, why don't you want to go back? And then Daryl's probably going to be like, I can't leave Laurent, and I kind of have like a new family here, or I have kind of something going on here, right? And I feel like, that causing tension at the nest is very, very interesting because maybe Carol, what if Carol's not welcome at the nest? I know I've seen some people saying that Daryl might not be, and so there's some issues there as well, but it does seem like this is going to be, a problem here. This is actually going to be a storyline here in this season where Carol is trying to get Daryl to come back home, but Daryl doesn't want to, right? And then I think that's where Carol can mention, like if Carol does know that Rick made it home, that's where Carol can mention, well, Rick's back. Like they actually found him. He's back now, like he's with Michonne, Judith and RJ. And I just think that maybe, he feels very like, oh, maybe I should go back, at that moment there. But I do think for himself, he has to think more about himself. Like, well, I could go back, but, for me, I have some stuff I have to do here. And I'm very, very happy that he's back home now and safe, and that he sort of has his like happy ending kind of thing, and I'm happy for him. So I wonder if that is sort of a lot of the conversation here, and that's going to be a really crazy scene. Does that happen in episode 2? Is that a big moment in episode 2 where Carol tells Daryl that Rick made it back? Because I feel like Carol is going to try and make Daryl come back home, and that's the thing too, is like, how big of a storyline is this going to be? Because the moment that Carol tells Daryl that Rick made it back, like that could be saved for episode 5, because that could be a very big moment where it's very conflicting for Daryl. Like in a situation like that, it's definitely going to be one of those things where you're like, well, why didn't Carol say anything beforehand? And maybe Carol's just trying to see certain things with Daryl and trying to understand why he doesn't want to go first before saying anything like that. But then again, I could just see Carol being like, well, Rick made it back, just because Carol was going to say that originally, right? Like Carol was going to tell Daryl beforehand, which I kind of find kind of crazy when you look at the whole thing overall, right? Like literally Daryl was there in Maine just before he went to France. Rick already made it back home. Now, I also will say as well, I talked about this with Maggie and Negan in my previous video. I also don't want Carol to have seen Rick or Michonne yet, right? I want to save that reunion for like whenever that does happen. And to me, though, I feel like what's probably going to happen is it's going to be something where Carol maybe already did see him. And then, I don't know, like maybe the reunion in the future is more between Rick and Daryl. It's kind of hard to say. Like, that's the thing. I don't want these characters to have like reunited with Rick off screen. Like, that's the stuff that I just really don't want, and I know that it is very tricky. That's one of those things where you're like, well, Rick made it back home, so a lot of people are going to want to go and see him, right? I do understand that, but I think that you just kind of have to treat it like how Marvel treats a lot of things with the Avengers, right? Like whenever Spider-Man has a problem or other heroes have a problem, it's like, well, why don't they just call the Avengers? It just has to be one of those things where you have to almost kind of ignore it and be like, well, this is more of a problem in a story for like this character, You just gotta more focus on that and maybe try to explain things away, like this person was doing this during this time. Like there's little things like that you can do. And I just think, yeah, focus on that. Really just try hard to focus just on that. And that's why I hope that characters like Carol and Maggie, Negan, Morgan as well, I hope they never reunited with Rick yet, right? Like I just hope that is something that just didn't happen yet. And you can kind of explain it as like, well, they never, got to that because they were doing a lot of other stuff first. Like with Maggie and Negan, I think you can kind of explain it away with basically, well, Negan is like, well, obviously Rick never wanted to see me anyway, so why would I go and see him, right? Like, I think that one's pretty easy. With Maggie, you could just say, well, she's been focused on raising Herschel and with the bricks and all of that, she's been kind of away for a while. So I think you can kind of explain those two characters away pretty easily. With Carol, I think it's going to be a little bit more tricky because she was there at the Commonwealth, right? So I think with her, maybe there's an exception there that maybe she actually saw Rick, right? With Morgan, again, he was going back to Alexandria. You could still sort of change some stuff up there and have it where maybe he just never made it back yet, right? Like, I think with some characters, you could probably explain a lot of that away. But I think with Carol, she's the one character where it's going to be very difficult, right? Because she was there the entire time, unless you come up with something different, but she was there the entire time. And so, maybe it was possible that she was looking for Daryl. Like, she was out there looking for him somewhere, and she never got a chance to actually go and see Rick and Michonne, but maybe she actually heard that they made it back, right? I think that that's probably something that we could actually see. So yeah, anyways, I'm definitely very excited for this. I do think that in terms of the promotion, all that for season 2, that's probably going to be happening very, very soon. I expect in the next month, there's going to be a lot of stuff. Like this month specifically, there's probably going to be some posters, just in terms of like artwork, promotional artwork, and a lot of that. I'm definitely very excited for that because I can update the poster I have here on my right. Because right now I have the Once You Live, but it kind of feels a little bit outdated. So I want to, I'll get the new poster just to sort of, make things a little bit more fresh. And then I'll put that other poster. I don't know where I'll put that poster afterwards, but yeah. So expect a lot of stuff happening at some point this month here. There's going to be a start of things anyways, which I'm definitely very excited about. I can't wait to see the new tone of the show, what the colors are going to be, for the promotion, all that. Because The Ones Who Live, the big theme for that show was like fire, right? Like they used fire in the logo, a lot of yellow, orange, and reds and stuff. Daryl Dixon was a little bit more yellow and kind of, I mean, they changed a lot, I guess, if you look at the actual like opening sequence, right? It was a lot more like a lot of whites and like grays and stuff like that, right? And then I think Dead City, that was more, I guess, blue and yellow, I would say. That was sort of the tone they went for there. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do here for Daryl Dixon season 2. But to actually get into one more thing here before I do end it, that is who wrote the episodes here, because I was actually kind of curious, like, is that information out there in terms of who wrote the episodes and all of that? And yeah, we actually do have the writing here for season 2. So apparently the first 3 episodes were actually written. So episode 1 was written by Shannon Goss. Episode 2 by Keith, and I'm probably going to say his last name wrong, so I'm not going to say it, but no, I guess I'll try it. It's Keith Staskiewicz or something like that. And 3 is Lisa Zwirling. And so yeah, they wrote the first 3 episodes, respectively anyways, in that order. And then episodes 4 to 6 were written by Jason Rickman, David Zabel, and Laura Snow, I guess, getting credit for episode 6. And it looks like it's a story credit or something for episode 6. So she came up with something, with the story there for episode 6. And so she got a credit for that, which is very cool. Definitely very excited about that. David Zabel, really, I'm very, very impressed with what he's done here with The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, because it really is him, I feel like, that is doing really amazing stuff here. And if you actually kind of look at the writers in general, most of these same writers were a part of season 1. So it's going to feel, pretty much the same, in my opinion. It's going to actually feel like, what season 1 felt like pretty much everyone. I don't even know who else would be new. There's a couple people here that I guess are new, like Keith, I believe, and Lisa. And, yeah, but overall, Jason Rickman was there, and David Zabel obviously wrote a lot of episodes, Shannon Goss. So I'm very excited to see what the show is going to be like, and I'm excited to see just where the story is going to go next for Daryl Dixon here. So yeah, I can't wait, but definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.